I'm Louise Hayes, the developer of the DNAV framework, along with my co-author, Joseph Cherokee. Over the last decade, I've trained around 15,000 people on how to think about process as a way of helping people learn and grow. I'm also an author and a clinical psychologist working directly in therapy. Welcome to my training. I think inside here you will also learn how to grow and develop within yourself and with the people that you serve. If you'd like to know more, just click on the link www.louisehayes.com.au. Welcome to the mini course on DNAV. DNAV is more than the hexaflex rehashed with new words. It's a way of looking at growth and development and a framework that allows you to look at every aspect of a human, from their inner world to their outer world, allows us to manage change and effectively help people face life's challenges and grow. What is DNAV? DNAV is a framework that arose from contextual behavioural science. It has a broad theoretical foundation: evolution, biological theories of safety and danger from deep within our bodies, how we learn to respond, attachment theory, how we're connected to other people through all of our lives, operant principles, the way in which consequences influence what we do, relational frame theory, the way language influences everything we do. And this evolution is the broadest foundation that underpins everything we do. It helps us look at three principles, very parsimonious: variation, selection, and retention. And then we look at those three principles along with four abilities in DNAV. So DNAV are your four abilities. I'll come to that in a minute. So with the principles of variation, selection, and retention, we can look at the goal of living well. We can consider our abilities and how we use them in ways that are adaptive, that help us learn and grow, and sometimes in ways that are maladaptive, keep us safe in the moment or keep us shut down in the moment. We can practice new responses. That's the variation part. Variation is about learning to try new things. We examine the effect of these responses and try to keep the ones that help us. That's the selection piece. And we repeat our actions to develop a consistent repertoire. That's retention. So variation, selection, and retention. Three principles that are really useful and I find very helpful when I'm working with clients. So Joseph and I started out developing DNAV. We started with the ACT framework. And then we had a goal of trying to develop a way in which we could understand the whole of a human in their context and how to help them grow and develop. Along the way, we ended up with a really broad framework. It's a pragmatic framework. It allows you to use evidence-based procedures. So you can look at all the evidence and use procedures. And of course, it's very well informed by acceptance and commitment therapy. But because it's a broad framework, we also use cognitive behaviour therapy. We use polyvagal applications for our embodied awareness. We use positive psychology for helping you learn and grow. We use self-determination. We use all of these inside a really important context of the physical world, our self, and our social world. First, let's look at our four abilities. The four abilities, D, N, A, and V, affect cognitions, attention, overt action, motivation. We consider how all of these abilities have developed and arise in certain contexts. So your discoverer is your ability to explore and learn. Your noticer is your ability to use your senses, your awareness, your embodied presence. Your advisor is your ability to use language, to tell yourself what to do, to navigate all of your history and all of your anticipated future, and of course, the present. To use your cognitions and awareness in this moment. Now, it's not the only place where cognitions lie. Once we develop cognitive abilities, they're across all of us, everything that we do. Your valuer is your ability to use your energy and engagement in the moment. We call that vitality. And to use your motivation to direct yourself towards things you care about in the future, the value piece. So the valuer is vitality and value, and how you use your motivational energy to direct yourself. Now, the two contexts that I mentioned that are really important in DNAV, and that sometimes people forget, the first one I want to talk about is the social context. You see, your abilities, your ability to be a discoverer, to test and try and explore and stand up and fall down, that has developed within your social context. From the moment you were born, adults around you encouraged you or discouraged you. And your ability to take action is dependent on that. So all of your abilities arose from your social context, and they continue to be influenced by your social context. So I consider the social context as like a relation. How you relate to your other people influence your DNAV. And how you use your DNAV influences other people. That's one really important context. The second really important context is the self. You see, the self develops over time. Self is concepts, our ability to think about ourselves as I am a woman, I am a psychologist, I am smart, I make mistakes, I am sometimes pretty silly, right? All of those things are language-based. And so your self-concepts arose from your ability to use your advisor over time. The same with my noticing ability, how I notice myself and how I use my feelings and my awareness has arisen over time. So the self is a context in which we develop a relationship between these four abilities and the thing we call the self. And there's a reciprocal relationship. We can change how we see ourselves by changing how we use our DNAV. Changing how we use our ability changes how we see ourselves. Pretty cool, huh? So these four abilities are fertile ground for helping people grow and develop, whether they're children or adults. And that's the foundation for DNAV. A note on terminology, though. Sometimes people say, do I have to use the characterisation? Well, no, of course not. The characterisation helped us, when we were developing the framework, create some distance. And it helps people create some distance from their inner world. So if I start thinking about my advisor and the way I'm giving myself advice, I get some distance from it. Do you have to use it? No. If it's not workable for you and the work you do, it's not essential. The most important thing is to think about whether the words you're using are allowing the people you're serving to get some space and to see their abilities in ways that allow them to change and grow. So use what works. Use what creates some distance. And I'll see you for the second episode. If you'd like to know more, go to my website, www.louisehayes.com.au, or click on the link below. Get all the resources directly to your inbox, join our community, and together we can learn how to help people thrive and grow.